So Real Madrid fans know that the Galactico era was probably one of the best or worst depending on the person, but to me it was one of the worst. Why it was one of the worst? Well, we have to look at 3 reasons why it failed. Then we have to look at 3 reasons why it did find some success, surprisingly. So number 1, marketing does not equal to good football. We've seen this many times. We see this even with Manchester United. They had a period of time where they were focusing on the product, the marketing. That is mostly due to the owners and what they think. Perez, when he was elected in the 2000s, he had the same mentality. Because the club was broke. The club was going through a similar thing that Barcelona is going through currently. And Perez came in. He was a businessman and he loved Real Madrid. Everybody knows this. He wanted to bring back the glory days of the Di Stefano era. He wanted to bring in all the big stars, which he did. He brought them in gradually from each year. He first brought in Luis Figo, but he brought it in with the wrong mentality. He brought Figo in with the mentality that we are doing this just to make Barca angry, which you can't do. That is not a sustainable way of growing a club. Not to mention signing players like David Beckham just because of his looks. Yes, he was a very talented player, exceptionally well for Manchester United, but he brought Beckham in because Beckham was good with the media. He was good with modeling shows or whatever you want to call it, but he saw the marketing side of this. Therefore Real Madrid were the highest selling team when it came to shirts. But this did work out. They brought in big signings like Zidane, Michael Owen, Ronaldo. This was just a big error. The thing is, one of the things that I disliked, this is a news report that I heard, he did not want to bring in Ronaldinho due to his looks. And that is crazy. How can you not bring a player in due to their looks? And we know Ronaldinho was a generational talent. Unfortunately, the end of his career didn't end up the way anyone would have expected, but he was generational. Perez, he focused a lot on these big signings, and that was the first thing that he did wrong. Number 2, not signing defensive players. Because look at the squad. You look at the squad, you're thinking Raúl, Zidane, Figo, Ronaldo, and you're thinking, wow, these are good midfielders / attackers. Beckham, all these big players. Then you look at the back line. Sergio Ramos and Roberto Carlos. Roberto Carlos, who is more so like a left wing back. This is not going to work out. Great attacking wise, but defensively, which is to me is the core part of your team, that is not sorted out. This team was destined to fail from the start. Instead of bringing players who are also playing in the same positions, Michael Owen, Figo and Beckham were all 3 of them were right wingers. How was that going to work out? You caring about more so the product than the actual football, where you could have invested that money and signed world-class defenders like a Maldini. Even though that seemed impossible, Maldini would never leave AC Milan. He could have decided to bring in Cannavaro way earlier, but it is what it is. The number 3, this is what I think definitely rubbed people the wrong way. Number 3, he got rid of great players. Fernando Redondo. That was Real Madrid's greatest legend. When Perez came in, he changed the philosophy into a money club, and many of the legends who won Champions Leagues before, it did not sit right with him, and they decided to leave the club. And he sold Redondo for 17 million. Do you know who Redondo is? Oh, you can't. That was just a bad policy. Perez was burning bridges more than actually doing good for the club, in which he won 1 Champions League in his era, in his first stint at the club. Okay, so enough about the negatives, because we can speak about that for the entire day. But I'm looking more so into the good things, the positives that came out of that terrible era. Number 1, Perez learned from his mistakes. His first time at Madrid, in which he got sacked and taken off. He then returned 2 years later. He did the Galacticos 2.0, bringing Ronaldo, Benzema, but this one was a bit more sufficient. He focused a lot on the attack, but he also focused on the defense. Perez learned from his mistakes, and many years later, in today's age, the team is something I would say a perfect ideal team. And instead of Perez just splashing money on Mbappe Instead, he's being super strategic, he's saving money, and deciding to buy these players at the end of their contracts. Smart decisions from this guy, and I respect him. He has changed so much. His philosophies has changed. Himself as a businessman, he's just insane. He's no doubt one of the best presidents that Real Madrid have ever had. And we've had many great presidents. Number two, another good thing that he brought into the club was he rose the value of the club. Now listen, a lot of people look at him, they think, oh, he was just a rich guy trying to ruin football. And overall, he did ruin the transfer market by splashing money like that. He is one of the sole reasons for the price tags of Neymar and Mbappe in today's age. But the club was broke before he came in. That's one thing we can say. Perez did well. He improved the value of the team, and when the team was broke, they would have ended up as one of the biggest teams to fall off. And Perez saved us from that humiliation. So that is something we have to thank Perez for. He's the GOAT for that. And yes, the period of time we were splashing money, it was bad choices. But overall, it was good for the club money-wise. And lastly, he did the impossible. Why do I say he did the impossible? The things he did with Real Madrid were things that seemed to just be impossible. He even almost brought Totti from Roma straight to Real Madrid. Almost. But the fact that he brought Beckham, Figo, Zidane and brought these guys into one team and to make an outstanding team out of them, in which they were amazing, scoring goals left and right. This, overall, was a good thing. Everything, we can look back at history, it can be distasteful, it can be amazing. In my opinion, when you look back at the Real Madrid's history, you have to look back at it in a happy way. Because without it, this club would be nowhere where it is today. And he brought so many good memories to the club. We can talk about the negatives, but most of the positives were the best things. We won a decent amount of Champions Leagues in his era, and overall, he's just one of the greatest presidents of all time. But that's it for now. Smash like, subscribe, and leave your opinion.